It's April Fool's Day and Piggy build mode updated with something new. All right, let's just hop inside of Piggy build mode and see what's brand new here. So, what? Did that block just move? Wait, hold on a second. It's an unanchorable block. So let's toy around with this block and see what else we can do with it. Let's see what other kind of fun we can do with this. I'm gonna show you some cool things that you can do with it and its potential. Ideally, the block would stay solid and anchored until you powered it. Once you powered it, it would become unanchored. And when you unpowered the block, it would freeze back to its original spot, which would be right here, for example. And just like the snowball, when it does fall into the void, well, it would just teleport back to its original spot. Now, I'm unable to paint and retexture this block specifically, so you'll have to bear with me on some of these examples. You can move the block in place for climbing. So for example, if you got a bunch of crates inside of this facility room and you need to get on top of here with no way of being able to climb or jump up, you can take some blocks and you can move them in place in order to reach higher areas. This could go the same if you have a small block and then a larger block and then the biggest block in order to make a block stairway. You can load the block into a car to act as cargo and take it wherever you want. So first we're gonna put some gas in the car, and now what we're gonna do, and then we're gonna move this block so we can successfully get it inside of the trunk of our car. So we're just gonna take the block, we're gonna move it up this ramp so it's easier to get in. So we're gonna move the block right onto there. Yeah, I think that fits pretty fine. So we're gonna sit in the car and we can go ahead and move the block wherever we want. We can actually load it as cargo. Hey, no wonder there was a giant open space in the back here for so many years. It was meant to be. So you can move the block and it actually stays in fairly well. It's only when you drive backwards that it starts to come out. So it's a little bit of an obstacle where you have to drive carefully and at a certain speed in order to be able to get it across certain places. For example, check out this puzzle. We need to get this block moved over to this other side so we can use it as a booster. But we can't. There's a huge lake of acid here. But the car is going to be able to help us do that. So we can take the block once again, we can move it into the back of the trunk right in here, and then once we get it inside the car, and then move it back just a little bit more, and boom, we got it. So we can take the block and move it across the acid lake, and boom, look at this. We got our block. We can move it here, we can take it in front of our shelves, and we can use it as a boost. This block is ripe for so many different puzzle combinations because of how simple it is. You can use it as falling debris. If you want to have it as obstacles, maybe you want to have it as an effect. For example, maybe a cave-in that's happening, you can have a whole bunch of these blocks falling down. And even better, if you want it as a legit obstacle, instead of it just being a puzzle, you can set a new setting inside the block that allows it to kill players on touch. And based on the way that the cubes tumble compared to snowballs, it would act as a great rock slide effect and obstacle as well. Unlike the snowballs, which cannot be recolored and retextured, these unanchored blocks would be able to. And combine that with the death effect setting that I mentioned, you could have something really unique inside of your map, whether it's a game itself or, if you want, just as a more realistic effect, or heck, maybe even both. Unanchored blocks can also be moved with conveyor belts. Simply take an unanchored block here and we're gonna push it onto a conveyor belt, and boom, you can see that it moves. If you want to have a realistic looking factory event, or maybe you want to have a puzzle where it needs to go through a whole set of conveyors, you definitely can. And if you set up the conveyors like this, and of course you would need to have some walls in between, maybe some glass, it would turn and bring it in here. As you can see, the block moves perfectly on the conveyor belt, especially with some invisible walls. What if you want to have a box floating down the river that you want to stand on and ride on? You can offset a no-clip block and then put it inside of a conveyor, and because it's a no-clip block, it will let the conveyor belt still continue to move you. You can put some death blocks in here so people don't fall in the water, but as a result, you can stand on here and make it look like you're going across a sea or an ocean. There's so many possibilities to this. Uh-oh, waterfall. And if you scaled this block to be even bigger or wider, you could have an entire raft to carry multiple people on. And that itself can bring all sorts of different types of obstacles you can have for like a little river race or any kind of transportation you want. In fact, this is a sort of transportation that the owner itself can control. By placing down a slab and then taking a powered block and placing it on top of it, and then placing a normal block normally, and then you place a button and a timer, link the button to the half block and the timer, link the timer to the normal block, set the timer to 0.3 seconds, move this block down and move this other block into itself. If they make the block's physics work like the snowball, you can hit the button and it would move the block upwards, like an elevator. An elevator meant specifically for the block itself. If you combine it with conveyor belts, you can have all sorts of contraptions that you can set up to send a block a certain place. You can get creative and hide them inside of bushes too. So maybe if you want to have them be the same color, maybe people have to be like, hey, wait a second, let me grab part of this bush and move it somewhere. Or if you just want to hide it somewhere, you can take the block and move it right out because it goes through these little tree blocks here. You can use a magic wand to drop the block off of certain places, and all these possibilities could be in the game if it was simply a linkable block. All you have to do is make the normal block linkable. When it's powered on, it will become loose and fall down. But when it's unpowered, it'll teleport right back to its original spot. And then maybe add a kill setting where if someone touches the block, they die. That's literally it. All these possibilities and more can be yours for just $29.99. All these possibilities and more can be added for such a simple addition. And I think the player base would love experimenting with this. There's no guarantee something like this will come in the game. I just want to put that out there. But if you're interested in seeing something like this, as I would, make sure you leave a comment down below saying that you're interested in seeing something like this in the game. But there's 3 floating heads here. It looks like they're all working in like Roblox Studio or something like that. There's Optic, there's Minitoon, and there's Epic Tank. Oh, this is pretty cool. So I guess when you spawn inside the build mode base plate, there's just this sliding block that moves around. Now, if you guys don't remember, this is actually a block on my idea list. So I sure hope it sticks around, but who knows, who knows. So there's a sliding block that you can move around here. What happens if we push it into the void? Will we lose it forever? Well, I better go ahead and find out. There goes the block. Oh, they're all looking down at the block. And it respawns back on the build mode base plate too. There it is. Yeah, they literally just all look at where the block is. Look at this. You can just slide it and boom, it's gone. It is completely gone. And then we can just bring it back here. Now, if I look inside the build mode menu, I don't think I see a way of placing down this block. As you can see, we got all of our normal blocks here. Aside from that, do we have anything else that's new inside of here as well? Let me see. Yeah, no, I don't think so. Even if we go through all the decorations and everything else that's inside of the build mode menu, everything looks about the same. I don't see anything new, except for these, which I'm the only one who has access to them for now. And if we check the settings, basically everything else is the same as well. Yeah, we got ourselves a unanchorable block. But for now though, since this block does respawn, let's see what happens when we push it off. So we're gonna push it right onto the slope, and here we go. Yeah, there it goes, it slides down. I cover all the latest Piggy update content and whatnot, so if you want to see more of this stuff in your feed, make sure you subscribe.